Hello, I am Judy Mullins, and you are visiting Vintage to Chic, either on YouTube or Facebook. Let us know where you're from. Send a message. If you have any questions, always happy to answer for you. Just message me or visit me on Facebook, or hope you'll come back and subscribe and visit us again. Today we're going to work on a silver tray here that I have. It's just a vintage silver tray, and I have put a coat of white paint on it. And most of the time when I paint with the white paint, I use Rust-Oleum's 2-in-1 matte white in the spray. And I like the spray because it gives you a good smooth finish, and that's what I want to work on. Okay, so that's what I've done. I've put a coat of white on there. Not going to leave anything white, so it's not necessary for it to be totally white. I just needed enough to cover to get me a top coat on there. Now this print, I've printed this print on mulberry paper, and this one comes from my shop, which is Vintage to Chic designs.etsy.com, and that's where you'll find the print if you're interested in the print. Just shoot me a message or whatever, or go to my shop and visit. I have that shop, and then I have another one called vintagetochic.etsy.com, where I sell my finished products. Okay, I've just laid this down in my tray, and I'm going to take my fingernails and put an indentation in here where I'm going to take that around. I'm going to cut it out, cut it in the round of my tray, and it doesn't completely cover my whole tray. So I can paint and fill in the colors, and I'd rather fill in the bottom with the snow and the colors than the top. So I'm putting it a little bit more to the top than I am to the bottom. Okay, so I've got an indentation you can see in my paper here, and I'm just going to take my scissors and cut that out. Hope I get it right. Very, very simple project. Okay, got that side. Now let's get over here and get this side. Now let's see if I cut it right. Maybe I did. Okay. Now I'm going to slide it right up to the top as far as I need to. I see one little spot here that I need to take just a smidge off of. So I'm going to take my palette knife this time and try to put me a little better indentation in there so I can get that off. I could use a razor blade and cut it off, but it's much easier to cut it now and cut it with scissors. Okay. Okay, now I'm ready to put my print in there. Put that in the garbage. I'm going to put my print in, and I'm going to use Mod Podge. Mod Podge is my go-to. I've always used it. I like it. Notes used to change what works for me. But I put my Mod Podge in a little cup like this, and I add a few drops of water to it. I don't like it straight out of the bottle because it's too thick. So if you put it in a little cup like this, plus you're not contaminating your whole bottle of decoupage of Mod Podge if you just use it a little bit at a time. I buy it by the gallon and I use it. It takes very little to lay it down, to get it to glue down. So you're going to use a gallon. It'll last me, I've had a gallon for more than 2 years. Okay, so I'm going to start with one side, working my way from the middle out so that I don't have any wrinkles in it. I'm going to take my brush, soft brush, and put my glue right here in the middle. That's what we'll call the Mod Podge's glue. So that's what we're doing. We're just gluing it down. So I'm going to put it all in my tray on this one side. If you work one side at a time, you won't get those wrinkles. Okay? Now I've got it in there. I'm going to take a piece of saran wrap, and I'm going to lay that down, working from the middle where I started over to my right side. Okay, work it this way, pressing it down as I go through. You'll notice I didn't lay the whole thing down at one time. That's the way you keep from getting wrinkles in it. Okay? So I've got one side glued down there using just a piece of plain old saran wrap. Now I'm going to turn my paper, turn my tray, pull up the other side, and do the same thing on the other side. Taking it right out to my edges. Okay, lay my brush down, take my paper, start in the middle, and work my way across. You'll see I did not lay it all down at one time. Okay, I've got a nice smooth print there. And I've got just a little spot right here where it didn't glue down, where I didn't get enough glue to the edges. So I'm going to raise that up just a little tad, put a little glue right under it, take my finger, my paper, and lay it right back down. Okay, you want to get everything glued down good. Same way right here. Need a little bit of glue right there on that corner. Okay. Now I'm going to put one coat of the Mod Podge over top of it. This will seal in my print and allow me to paint on it without having any problems. When I go in to put some shading or some snow or something on there, it seals it in to where you can work with it a whole lot easier than trying to work on the raw paper. So I'm just going in with a thin coat of glue and paint the whole thing down. I print on a laser printer, and like I said, this one's printed on mulberry paper. I love the mulberry paper because it's thinner. I like it thin so that it just kind of fades into your background. You don't have to work a whole lot to get it hid. Okay, now I've got that down. Now while that's drying, I'm going to paint the edges of my tray. Get rid of my glue. I won't need any more Mod Podge. Now I'm going to use, I want to pick up this blue that's in this, in my background here. So I'm going to use a metallic blue, and I think I'm going to use this blue sapphire here. It'll cover with that. But to get that to cover and be a real pretty finish, I'm partial to the dark finishes. So to get that to cover, it's hard to get a metallic color just to cover by itself. So I'm going to take this metallic and I'm going to mix a little bit of black into it. So I've got my palette over here. I use a wet palette, which keeps my paint all day long if I want to leave it on there. Okay, I'm going to put me out a little bit of paint. Let's see if I can get moved over here a little bit to where you can see my palette. I'm going to put me a little bit of that glue. Always start with your lighter color. When you're mixing any colors, you start with your lighter color first. Start with your lighter color and then add your darks to it. Okay, that one stopped up on me. I'm adding some black into this one. So I'm going to put me some black out beside it. And I'm going to mix it gradually until I get a color that I like. So I'm just going to take my palette knife, pick it up, and put some over in that blue color. Let me turn you over here a little bit. Okay, now you can see what I'm doing. Putting some metallic and this black together, mixing it a little bit together here till I get a color that I like. Add it a little bit at a time, and I'm going to try to mix enough to do the whole thing. Probably have to do 2 coats on this, so I'm going to try to get enough paint to paint me 2 coats on that, around the edge of that tray. Better to have too much than not enough. If you're mixing it the same day, going to remix it the same day, and to put your second coat on, it doesn't matter if you're a little bit off. But if you were to start this project today and then go back tomorrow and try to mix that blue again, you'd have a hard time getting the same color blue. Okay, I think I got one that I like. Lay my palette knife there and get me a brush, a nice brush with a good chisel edge. I want to go down in here with the chisel edge of my brush, so I'm using a good flat brush here. And I'm going to let this edge of my brush do the talking for me, because I'm going to come right around that edge with that blue paint. So I'm going to load my paint in here, turn my brush on its side, and I can get right down into that edge there without, you never go in this way. You go into the side and let the edge of that brush do your work. It'll work for you. Bring you a straight line right around through there. It's a good tray for Christmas or for the winter holidays. Anytime in the winter, this is really pretty. Put it on an easel. You don't have to use it. You can put it on an easel and use it in a display. Set it on your mantle or on a table where you've got a pretty Christmas display. Make a beautiful piece. Okay, coming right around with that. Trying to get all my inside edge first. Then we'll go right up on that outside. Coming right around. See, it merely always takes 2 coats. But this paint, this is acrylics, so it dries pretty fast. Or you use your dryer to dry it a little bit to speed up your process. This blue is matching that inner blue perfectly. The blue that I used was a folk art metallic called Sapphire, Blue Sapphire. Okay, now I'll go right back in and work my way right around, getting up into the trim on the sides. Make sure you got everything covered. See how pretty that blue matches that? Very pretty. We can resin this one. I may put resin on this one after I'm all finished. I may go back in and resin the middle of the tray. That will make it food safe and make it last a little longer. Otherwise, I varnish everything. I use a Josania's by Chromia, and I love her varnish. It's called Josania's, and I use it in the gloss and the satin. You can find it on Amazon. I've used that for years and years and years, and like I said, if you get something that works for you until they discontinue it, I'll just stay with it. A lot of times you're using products you love and then all of a sudden you go to buy them and they've been discontinued. It's very upsetting. I love doing trays. Of course, I love, and I'm partial to holiday stuff. I love all holiday stuff. I worked craft shows for many, many years with just holiday merchandise. Everything from Thanksgiving through to Christmas. Okay, I think I've got that one coat on there. See how pretty that is? It's a beautiful color on that. Okay, now I'm going to dry that a little bit so I can go ahead and put that other, just in the interest of time. I'm going to dry it just a tad so I can go ahead and put that other coat on there as I get my dryer to working. Enough. Let's get my brush back out again and go right back to it. Just going to wipe my brush good on a towel that I use. I always keep a clean cloth in the lap. Okay, now I'm right back in here again to put the second coat on my tray. And that second coat is just covering beautiful. Just going to take it right on up to my edges as I go around. Sometimes the paint comes out to you may even have to put a third coat in there, but most of the time the two will do the job. Some spots I may have to go back and put a little bit of a third coat. We'll wait and let it dry and see what we get. Okay. I love that color. I think I'm just about around. Okay, see how pretty that is? Really pretty, just like it is. I'm going to go in and put a little bit of snow and stuff on these, on the houses. I'm going to strengthen the snow and the shadows and stuff in my houses. I'm going to strengthen that a little bit. So I'm going to put me out a little bit of painting medium, which I use the Josania's clear glazing medium, and this is just to help my paint. This is just to just helps your paint to move a little bit, to glide a little easier, and just gives you a much easier way to work on, especially if you're a beginner. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of my paint here, my blue, and I'm going to use my same blue that I had because it looks like it matches good. I'm loading the paint on one corner. On the right side of my brush, I've got painting medium. On the left side, I've got paint. And I'm going to blend it a little bit on my palette before I go in there. And that's the way you make a shading. You want your paint to go from dark to light across your brush, to be from dark to light and not have a stripe in there. Now I'm going to go in here and like right under here. Now if you're putting a shadow in under something, it has to always go across, never up and down. So right here under these trees in the yard, I'm going to strengthen that shadow a little bit in there. Right in that snow. I'm going to show you here. See, I'm right here working in this little snow section right here. Okay, everywhere that comes across like that, I'm going to strengthen it a little bit. So like I said, I've got medium on my right side of my brush, paint on the left side. Blend it on my palette. Then I'm going to go right in here under anywhere that I want to strengthen the darkness, right here under this little car. Anywhere that I want to set it down, this is just planting your pieces in here. See this underneath this tires of this car here? Now watch when I put that blue on there. It just kind of sets it down and sinks it back into the background. This is like planting a tree. If you don't put some shading underneath whatever you got, then it's going to be like it's hanging in the air. Now see the difference on what I put that little bit of shading underneath the tires of that tree? That just kind of plants that tree on the ground. Now I'm going to go right on down my page, right on around, and see where else I need. Anywhere I feel like I need to strengthen that color. I got two little toy soldiers right here in the yard. Got two little tiny toy soldiers back there in that background. I'm going to strengthen right under their feet. So I'm going to come in here and pull some color right under their feet and right under the steps there. Now let's see if you can tell the difference. See how I set that down in there? Just strengthen that right along. So any place you want to strengthen that shading a little bit, put you a little more of that blue down underneath there. Okay? Up here at this back house. Just always remember your shading has to go across, never up and down. There is a path here. This truck is traveling right up this path here. I'm going to strengthen the edges of that path on each side a little bit so that it makes it pull it out just a little bit. Let me put it on there and then I'll show you. I'll go right in here along the edge of the, I wish I had that. I should have put my camera up the other way. Go right here along the edge of that path and just kind of strengthen that. Make it a little more blue. And it just sets that path right down into the background. You know, it makes the background, makes it just a little more noticeable there as being a road that goes up through there. So I'm going to come all the way around that road. Just a little bit of paint on the left side of my brush. Okay, right up here. Now I need to do it the top the same way, the top of the road. So I'm going to turn my board around and put a little bit on the top edge of that road. So it just sinks that path right down in at that truck's traveling. There's a path there. See now right here how I strengthened that along that path. This truck is going right up through here. I put some strengthening. I darkened that a little bit. He's traveling right up around here and through this little loop here. He's going to the back house. So here he comes up this way. Okay, so I put a little bit of strengthened a little bit of the shading along the path that he's driving. Okay, now let's see here. So anywhere you need to strengthen that a little bit. I'm going to go right over here and strengthen under the roof of this house just a tad. Right under that roof, I'm just putting a little bit of shading in there and pull it down so that that roof shows up a little better. When I put the snow on that roof, there's a little bit of blue edging in that house, and it just kind of sets it back. See right here, I went into this house and I put a little in that eave of the house and a little in that one, so that you just kind of strengthen that. Everywhere you want a shade, you put a dark. A dark color shades, a light color pulls it forward. If you're shading, you would use a darker color. If you're highlighting, when we put the snow on now, that'll be like our highlight. Okay, I think I've just about got it all right down here under this fence, maybe a little. And I'm going to put me a few streaks right down here where I'm going to put the snow. I'm going to put it under the snow. Put me a little more darker blue under this snow, and then I'll come back with some snow. And this is down on the white part of my tray. I'm just putting a little bit of paint all the way down there where that tray's at. And you see I'm going across. I'm not pulling it down because I want that shading. Your shading always has to go horizontal, always has to go across this way, never up and down to shade. See, I put a little bit of snow, a little bit of darkness right down in here, and then I'm going to put some snow on top of that. Okay, now I think I'm just about ready to put my snow in there. Okay, I'm going to go in. This is called a snow paste. I'm going to go in with a little bit of this. This is Pin Art snow paste. And I'm going to put me just a little bit out on my palette over here because it doesn't take very much. Then I'm going to get me a little stiffer brush, either a round tip brush or one that's about half wore out. If you take your brushes after you've mistreated them and wore them out like I do, and they get a little stiff on the end, then that's the kind of brush you want to work with when you're putting snow or something on. One that you can dab up and down like this instead of painting. You don't care to mess it up. You don't care that it's, it won't hurt your brush. Now I'm going to start right up here, and I'm going to put a little bit of snow on these trees. It already has snow on it, but I'm just going to reinforce that and make it kind of stand up there so that it shows a little more. The snow that's coming right down that tree trunk. It's got snow laying on the branches, and I'm just dabbing them in here and there. Sometimes I use this snow text, sometimes I use white acrylic out of the tube. Now I'm going to come over here on the roof of this house, and I'm going to put it on there exactly the way the roof grows. The roof is going, that you want to go in the same direction as your roof is leaning. So I'm pulling it down on this one. I'll put a little bit on my edges over here on the side. So see, I put a little bit on this tree and I put a little bit on this roof for now. Okay, now I'm going to work my way right on around to the other places that I feel needs a little bit of snow. Okay, right up here in these bushes around this house, I'm going to put a little bit. It's kind of hard to get that on there. You just kind of have to dibby dab a little bit at a time to get some snow on there. And I'm just working my way around the bushes around the house, coming down in here in these little trees. Don't have to do a whole lot of snow, just kind of, this is just kind of highlighting the snow, just kind of bringing it forward a little bit in some places. Some places you can leave it set back there. Put a little bit on the hood of that car. Right over here to the other house, put a little bit of snow on these bushes on the other house. Same way with the roof up here. I'm going to go up here and put a little bit of snow on this roof. Pull it down exactly the way the roof goes. Put a little bit on the edge of the chimney. It's not coming off my brush very good. I'm just reinforcing the snow. There's snow on the awning, on the porch of the house. There's snow on that awning. So I'm just reinforcing that a little bit. Right on the banisters around the house. Anywhere you want to pull that forward and make it a little bit, show up a little better, then that's where you want to put some of that bright white snow. Now I'm over to the other side, and I'm going to work on this other tree just a little. Just kind of a dibby-dab motion down that tree, because that one's in the front of the yard, so I'm going to put a little more on it because it's out in the front. The ones in the back, you wouldn't see as much snow on the back ones as you would on the front ones. Same way with these little bushes in the yard here. Make those a little bit stronger than what I put the bushes up there, up in the back. Okay, now I'm down here on this truck. I'm going to put some on the fender of the truck where there's snow stuck on the fenders. Make it a little stronger. And there's some boxes on the back of the truck. I'm going to put a little snow on some of them boxes so it looks like it's snowing as they're coming in the driveway. Little on the truck. Okay, there's a little fence over here. I'm going to put a little bit right on the top of that fence. Okay, I believe I got just about enough. Now see how much brighter? That just makes the snow just pulls everything out and makes it all a whole lot brighter than what you had. See how bright that is? Okay, now I'm going to go right under this down here. I'm going to use, that snow is a little bit thick, so I'm going to take a little bit of white paint because I want to strengthen that down here at the bottom. I'm going to take a little bit of white paint and mix it with that snow. Same way up here at the top. I should have put a little bit of blue up here in the top of the sky, just enough where my tray, where my pattern didn't go quite up. Pick up a medium, a little white, a little blue, and just streak it across the sky up there, right in the top of that, where that tray's at. Okay, that covers that up to the top. Okay, now I'm going to go down here at the bottom. I'm going to use a little bit bigger brush. Pick up a little bit of my medium, a little white, and a little bit of that snow paste. And I'm going to come right down here and streak it across that bottom. Letting some of that snow paste just makes a kind of a build-up on that bottom. But I mixed a little bit of white paint in it to make it move a little easier. Because there's a lot of snow right here where you're coming into the house, coming into the property. And you don't want that snow to just be white, so you want to pick up a little bit of blue every now and then and stick in that. Okay, I believe I got enough of it on there. Get a little blue on my... Okay. I believe I got the picture done. Now see how I did this down here at the bottom? I put right under that thing, I put a little bit of blue and stuff on there. Now the only thing I have left to do is I'm going to check my blue up here to the top. And I'm going to touch up a couple of spots, and then where I got a little bit of white on that right there, I'm going to touch it up, and I'm going to take some wax now, some my waxes, and I'm going to do the gold on the, I think I'm going to use gold rub and buff around the top edges of this tray. Okay, so I like to use my rub and buff, instead of using it with my finger, I like to use just a little rag. So I've cut me some little rags, and I'm going to put a little bit of my gold right out here on my palette to work with, just a little smear. And I'm going to wrap this little piece of cloth around my finger. And I'm going to go in, and right here, this has got kind of a rose pattern up here at the top. So I'm just hitting that top with that gold. I'm going to go all the way around. Gosh, that really sets it off. See how pretty that makes that? It just really sets it off when you put that up on there. If I get up too high, you can't see it, shadows it. Okay, so I'm going right on around with that. This is a very quick project, but beautiful. Something anybody can do, beginners or whatever. Sometimes you get close to holidays, you need some gifts. You still need some gifts, so you jump in and you do a few things that are really, really quick. And you got some nice gifts to work with. Now, like I said, I'll varnish this one. And I'll use glitter in my final coat of varnish when I put my brush on varnish on. And then in the very final coat, it always gets 3 or 4 coats of varnish. And in the final coat, I will put glitter actually in my varnish. When I put my varnish out in a little bowl, I pour some iridescent glitter in it. And I put that glitter on just as a hit and miss on the whole picture. And it'll just look like ice. You know, it'll make it glitter, look like as the ice is on that snow. Makes a big difference. You'll see that in the picture when I show you the picture of the finished product. Okay, I think I've got it. That turned out beautiful. Come around my edges a little bit. You could use any other colors if you choose. The waxes, I like the Finnabar waxes, so you can use any kind of colors. If you wanted to put silver around this one, or any color that you wanted to put around there would work. I'm just partial, like I said, I'm partial to the dark shades in the metallics, and I'm partial to the gold. It's just what you like as yourself, because you're suiting. You should make everything to suit you. You know, you might change it around a little bit and make this color in here a different color. It should be what you like. Always make everything your own. You learn from everybody who's teaching something. You watch everything you can watch and learn from everybody you can learn from, and then take that and incorporate it into your own, and eventually you've got your own style and your own things that you like to do, and it's yours, you know. But no matter how good a person teaches or how good they paint or work, you can always learn something from everybody. Okay, now, see how pretty that is? When I get it varnished, I'll put a bling, a ring of beads or bling around that. I might put pearls, might put bling. I like the pearls around there, so I may put a ring of pearls around there. But for now, I'm going to take my toothbrush and I'm going to put some snow on it. I'm going to use my white acrylic. A lot of people does this with a brush, but I've always used a toothbrush. So like I said, you do what you learn and what works for you. So I'm going to find me a toothbrush over here. Okay, and I've got my white paint on my palette, and I'm going to put a little bit of water in my white paint to make it thin, because I want it to come off that brush real easy. So I'm just going to put a little water in it. Makes it about like ink. Then I'm going to use just the tip end of my toothbrush. And I'm going to set this in here. And I don't want it up on my blue part up here. So I'm going to stay right down here near the house. And I'm going to go around that and put some snow. Now if I get it on my blue, I'll go back with a little bit of my blue probably and cover it up. Because I don't care for the snow up on my trim. Sometimes when I create a design, these designs I create, sometimes I put the snow in the creation. It's already on the print. When you get the print, the snow's already on it. So come visit my shop. I'm in the process of revamping my shop. After the first of the year, it'll be a whole new different shop, my design shop. And like I said, my vintage to chic.etsy.com is where I sell my finished items. And I also do auctions on my Facebook. Right up here on the house and put a little bit more. Okay, I think I've got it. Okay, I think we are done. See how pretty? That is pretty. I hope you like, and I hope you'll come back, subscribe, and follow along and watch some more of the videos. I've not been on YouTube too long, and I'm still trying to build my channel, so I hope you'll come along with me. Catch you later, girls.